Hey folks, Green Stuff Gav here. I hope we all enjoyed the festive bit and we received lots of shiny new toys, or at least had some time to get some painted. As noted last year, is the friend of the channel, Graham, challenged us last year to paint a miniature every single day because you don't get miniature advent calendars really. Now, Graham himself hasn't been able to partake, but I made sure we moved through 24 minis in 24 days. So there is a couple of painting videos coming, but most of these were just painted for enjoyment. So yeah, I certainly didn't cover all of them. And they were all randomly picked from the backlog. So effectively rolled dice for every box that the backlog's in and pulled a mini randomly. So I thought we'd simply go through, see what we painted, and yeah, what we got. So we started off strong with a goblin from Gaz Minis. This little lass is tiny, but yeah, little goblin mechanic. Fairly straightforward, lots of green, some blue coveralls, and just a splash of white. Gaz does lovely, lovely goblins. We followed on day 2 with a miniature from weprintminiatures.com. I'll link down below, but I don't know who did the original sculpt, but it's effectively Ryu from Street Fighter. I tried a tiny bit of OSL here for his fireball. See a little bit of blue there and a little bit blue on the base. Yeah, really fun, really nice to paint. You got that skin, then you got the white for the G. Yeah, just character for me. Huge stance on him though. Day 3, we ended up with Twin Goddess miniatures. Actually designed to be perhaps an elf from a recent release. I instead painted her up as an orc because I needed an orc for my goblin, my old world goblin army I'm working on. But otherwise, so it's fairly straightforward. You know, the reds, the blacks for the rest to go with the army, and some nice coloured hair. You can't go wrong with some nice tits. As we can see by the little blue tit we got going on here. I missed my 3D printer isn't behaving, so I'm not able to print as many of these. And as luck would have it, we also had another Twin Goddess minis for day 4. Part of the Goddess line they did recently, sort of a Goddess of Summer. We lost one of her little birds because, as noted, the 3D printer isn't behaving. So you've got some odd textures going on. But it was nice to do like a pale green out of deference to Magarat from Discworld. So some colour I don't normally paint a lot of. Twin Goddess turns up again, but with another goblin from the Goblin Army. This is a rogue with her 2 daggers and her cloak, painted to match the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. So she's got the pink dress, the purple cloak, and the orange hair. Again, lovely, lovely, lovely sculpts, but teeny tiny. That's a 25mm base she's on there. Out of the random bag, we pulled out a Tau Lady Pilot. This was a 3D file I pulled down from somewhere and just randomly printed off when I had a working printer. Not a lot to say about the paint job with this. So went fairly stock with a darker blue skin tone than normal, but your old colour scheme from the sort of 6th edition. We followed up with a mini from Martin Miniatures, their Grim Cute line, with this adorable little guardswoman eating a sandwich. So you can see we painted her a little cheese sandwich. Fairly stock paint scheme. She's not been based yet because she'll be rebased down, perhaps onto an artillery piece. I'm not sure yet. But real fun, real characterful little sculpt. We came up with another goblin, but this time by Rackham, a miniature company who's long gone by now. But this is one of the Cadwallon Hurricane, no, the other one, Strom goblins. They're two variants, armored knight goblins and some oriental themed ones. So it probably doesn't show very well on the camera, but I tried to get some highlights in on the metalwork because there's a lot of metalwork. We see we've got like a blend on the moose hat that he's wearing. But I always love the Rackham minis. Fantastic quality sculpts. C27 miniatures come up in the next spot. Back before Marvel Crisis Protocol was a thing, they were doing 3D miniatures of a lot of the Marvel stuff. And this one is their Clawman, who I've painted in the sort of the yellow of the 90s Wolverine as a nod. He tied up his belt now, look at it. Lots of yellow. Fantastic minis though. Don't know how well they scale with Crisis Protocol, but we'll see. From the random miniatures box, we pulled out another totally not Street Fighter miniature. See Sakura, who is pretty standard, followed the video game paint scheme. She's unfortunately a slightly different scale to Ryu. She's just a touch too small. But again, it was really nice to paint and followed the reference. We got onto a miniature from Hassle-Free Miniatures. Is their apprentice sorceress, Raisha, who totally doesn't look anything like the girl from Frozen. I've tried a blend here to go from like the light blue down into the darker, sort of the turquoisey scheme. And she's got a sculpted base. I sculpted the base to match my other Disney princesses, of which I have a few apparently at this scale. But Kev White's minis have always got loads of character. Really nice. Attention to detail. Marching Miniatures pops up again with one of their totally not Ogryn, but a chibified Ogryn. And with the Marching, you get these lovely big eyes where you can get some real expression going. Fairly stock, but she has been based to match the rest of the Guard army, which is Astro Granite with a black ink, black contrast over the top. We can see where the printer was starting to pack out by the shape of that head. But she looks good on the table. Coincidentally, I believe this is another Marching. This came out of the random 3D prints box. I believe this is a Marching miniature of some schoolgirl taking a selfie with a girt massive sword, which is cleaved into the concrete. Now I painted her to match Sakura just because I happen to have done that scheme. And I thought they'd look cool together. Some lovely details, you know, you've got all these little keychains and you see the phone case going. What if a magical schoolgirl had a girt massive combat weapon? Fun on with random 3D prints. We've got Jules from Pulp Fiction. Again, a random file I pulled down, but really nice to print. We can see we've lost a tiny bit of his foot at the back, but that's what happens when 3D printers don't play. Mostly black with some subtle highlights. Picked out a couple of gold, the silver. And he's been put on a base because I'm currently working on a totally not 80s action miniature skirmish game. So he'll match the rest of the crew that I've printed and painted. We actually have a GW mini up next. From the Agents of the Inquisition box, this is Sergeant Stone. Now, when I got him, he was missing an arm, so that's just an Empire guy's arm. But otherwise, he's pretty faithful to the Inquisitor character, which I followed up with the paint scheme. I pretty much followed the 54mm mini. Some nice detailing and yeah. I see all the old minis. I'd love to see more of the Inquisitor minis in 28. Followed up with a Heresy Miniatures mini. Now we did an unboxing of these. This is a jet bike rider, and we did Die Hard Miniatures' police officer last year. So it's quite funky. She always came up in the same spot. But I really love how the miniature itself is holding the jet bike up off the floor. I don't know if you can see that. That's really cleverly done. I really like it. I know I've got one more of these, but I need to see if there's some more. I could see a jet bike racing game, skirmish game. We had another Games Workshop mini coming in for the 2nd edition Blood Angels, where we've had some videos before. This time it's an Assault Marine. Thankfully he had a power sword, so we've got a lovely little blend going on there. And he needs to have his transfers put on. But I'm struggling with transfers at the moment. Fairly stock. I love all the character of the 2nd edition. It's Jez Goodwin sculpt, I believe. Subject to characters, we then came up with Micro Art Studios is Tiffany Aking. Produced under license from the Discworld estate. I've pretty much painted her to match the We Free Men book cover. So this really pale blue I don't often do. And then a cream. You see we got white on the collars but cream for the apron to get the colour mix in. And the book based off her old Nan's Alamac. Or Diseases of the Sheep, I do believe. Fairly stock paint job, but gorgeous mini to paint. Went for some attempt at some blackened highlights in the frying pan itself. Now, we got from the random box a mini from We Print Miniatures. We did the unboxing of this at the start of December. And I'm really happy she got pulled for the Advent Challenge. She got onto a Warhammer Underworlds base that I had floating about. And I've gone for very reminiscent of Harley Quinn with the black and the red alternating and the white up top. But real nice mini to paint. I really do enjoy painting larger scale figures. You just spend some more time, get some extra blending in there. Almost as big, we ended up with a mini from Soda Pop Miniatures, their Super Dungeon Explorer, of this little chibi centaur lass. We might not be able to see, but there's actually 3 different kinds of skin tones on there, and I got some blending going. Looks fairly standard in browns, but you can basically just use 1 or 2 colors and really get different effects. So you see this skin tone comes up through the middle. And then the chibi eyes are always fun to paint. Next, from the box of random minis, we ended up with this one from Atomic Hearts. File pulled off Colts. Basically, it's one of the 2 robots that you end up, I don't know, fighting. I did look it up, and they are all metal. So we can see we've got different tones of silver going on here. And while I pulled out the hairpiece in gold, I wasn't sure from the screenshots if the jacket was texture or molded. So I've painted it as a textured jacket. That might be wrong, but You can see here this texture where the 3D printer isn't very happy. Again, it's nice to do, again, so this is all one colour with various levels of black. It gives you 3 different distinct shades, especially for metallics, which is nice. 23rd, we ended up with a mini from We Print Miniatures. We opened this a long time ago, which just goes to show how big the box of random is. This is effectively a Blood Bowl werewolf. So I've gone fairly subtle with like the trousers, but the skins have got a couple of different hues in there. And really nice sort of texturing and sculpting. It's really nice to paint. Fairly standard. And then finally on the 24th, talking about large minis, another Twin Goddess minis. This time a Goblin Rogue. I've painted it fairly nondescript, so you've got like the greys for the boots, the browns for the bodice, purple hair because all my goblins have got bright coloured hair, and a pink scarf. I picked out all the plasters in like a off red to go with some of the plaster strips you get. Could have gone up to bone, but I quite like them that colour. But with larger scale minis, you can see all these extra details that you wouldn't necessarily see on a 28 scale mini. Yeah, so it's been really fun to paint these over the month. It's a bit of a slog, and I missed one. Aha. We also had another Twin Goddess, a little goblin necromancer. I missed her. Don't know where she came in the running order. Midway, I think. But yeah, it's been really nice to do 24 minis in 24 days. It was a slog. It was definitely a bit of a mission, but sometimes it's nice to push yourself out. And like I say, I picked out some minis. I pulled some models that I wouldn't necessarily have painted, and it's nice to have done colours that I wouldn't normally pick out, like the pale greens, the blues. So I recommend it. If you're ever stuck, you get some hobby fatigue, just pull a random mini from your collection and just give it a paint. But I hope you all had a good festive bit. I hope you all have a great new year. But as always, thanks for watching and have fun.